The Chicago Bulls are once again destined for the play-in tournament. This time, they've locked in the 9th seed and will host their initial play-in game against the Miami Heat. On today's episode, I want to talk about everything going into that game, what the Chicago Bulls need to do, and why this season, despite no matter how it ends, has been a relative success for the Chicago Bulls in choosing their new direction. We're going to talk about all that, plus dive into the mailbag and more right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bulls Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bulls news and content.
What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content today, y'all. And the Bulls have officially been locked into the 9th seed in that play-in tournament yesterday after the Atlanta Hawks won. And unfortunately now the best that the Chicago Bulls can do is hope to tie with the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Hawks do have the tiebreaker in a case like that. So the Bulls will be, locked into the 9th seed. They will face off against the Miami Heat in the opening game, playing game on Wednesday. We already know the date and everything. Now, the Bulls do have still one game left on their schedule. It's going to be interesting to see how they manage that game with having everything basically locked in. Right? Are they going to be playing for rhythm, or the starters going to play maybe the first half, sit after that? There's a lot of different options and scenarios that we're going to go into. Billy Donovan has already said he really wants to see the starters play, and I can understand that from the momentum standpoint. You can't really play to worry about injuries, I guess, despite what's going on here. And so the Bulls get to prepare for an opponent that they are familiar with. Right now, they faced off against the Miami Heat just a little while ago. We played really, really well in that game, but Eric Spoelstra is a coach that once you give him one opponent to focus in on, he's going to come up with defensive concepts that are specific to that team. And I think that, the Miami Heat are going to be really focused on this one to come out of here and to show what they have. This is a team as well that has gone through considerable changes in sitting out Jimmy Butler, and they're going to be looking to see what they can do and kind of manage the future of their team. So, that's something to look out for. But the games against the Miami Heat and the Chicago Bulls are always fun. I've already seen some Bulls fans say, well, don't the Miami Heat own you guys in the playoffs? And, it is what it is when it comes down to that. Now, the Miami Heat do have a little extra incentive on this as well. Like, keep this in mind. The Miami Heat have their own lottery protected pick if it falls between 1 and 14, meaning if they do not make it out the play-in tournament, they get to keep their first-round pick in this draft. So I don't know if that's going to play into something as heavily. They do have the Golden State Warriors first-round pick as well in this draft. It's protected between 11 and 30. It's going to be lower than that. They're not going to have a top 10 pick in this draft with them making it into the play-in tournament as well. So, so that's just what it comes down to. So the Miami Heat, we'll see what they do. I just want to put that out there because it is a legitimate storyline coming into this, because if the Miami Heat view this thing as, hey, let's go ahead and get an additional lottery pick in here on top of having Golden State Warriors pick on top of everything else, it could play out a little bit differently than the previous ones have. But the Bulls, if they do get past Miami, they're going to face the loser between the Atlanta Hawks and Orlando Magic playing game that's going to happen. And that's going to be another interesting thing to see how that shake out, right? So the Bulls, throughout this season, it's been a season, I said in the opener, right? This has been a relative win over the season, not only because you have now a clarity and direction of your roster, right? You have Josh Giddey, you have Coby, you have Matas Buzelis. These are three players that have adamantly shown you that they can be huge parts of what you have going on. Josh Giddey being only 22 years old, him still refining his game, and his averages since the All-Star break bring a lot of optimism about how he's continued to develop as a player. Coby, since being thrust into the number one scoring role, has been much more consistent and closer to that consistent player that we want to see from Coby White. Matas, a rookie, not trying to put a whole lot on Matas, but let's be clear, Matas has looked extremely well for the Chicago Bulls and really shown a lot of just promise on what he can turn into over his NBA career. So overall, there's been a lot of things that you can look at. Like I said, there's relative wins here for the Chicago Bulls over this stretch of time. And I feel like that's a revelation, because this is a team that had no direction. This is a team that all of us talked about being directionless and how that's really impacted, like not knowing which way to go. Over the last just since the end of last seaon, clearing out Caruso, DeMar, Zach, Andre Drummond. You didn't necessarily get back all the pieces that on paper you have wanted to get back for those players, but you got Josh Giddey, who's clearly shown himself to be part of your future. You do got to lock him into a contract this offseason, which is really good to see there. But overall, Coby has a contract situation going on after next season that you got to make a determination on as well. But he seems like he loves it in Chicago. But like I said before, anytime somebody becomes an unrestricted free agent, it really opens up the door to kind of anything happening, and we'll see what happens there. But I think overall, this has been a season where you've found way more answers than I think what you needed to, right? You've cleared up your first-round pick future, right? Whereas after this season, it would have been top 8 protected. You've cleared for the next 2 years. You've cleared that up, right? So now you have all your first-round picks going forward with no matter happens. That gives you more assets, more players to bring in, things like that, right? Your coaching has improved. Billy Donovan, Dan Craig, and Wes Unseld have formed a nice triumvirate here with the coaching staff, right? You look at Wes Unseld and him taking over the defense and how good this Bulls defense has looked, since the All-Star break, and even a little bit before then we were improving defensively. And this is still without having our best defensive players out there more times than not. You add in another mobile big, right, that can be a shot blocker, growth from Matas defensively, getting Ayo, Lonzo potentially back, right? Continued growth defensively from Coby and Giddey as well. Like, who knows what the sky is the limit for the Bulls defense next season for a full year. The offense, right? Billy Donovan is in his bag again offensively because he has a point guard like Josh Giddey that's operating his system really well, right? That's another thing that's boding well for this team. So there's been a lot of positivity. Getting Kevin Huerter and Zach Collins and even Trey Jones have been a lot better than what people thought that return was going to be on paper, right? And so now this Bulls team goes into this play-in where I think it's a win-win scenario. And by that I mean this, right? If the Bulls make it through this play-in tournament and make it into the playoffs, it's because of young players being and your future being a big part and big role. The last time that we made it into the playoffs, Patrick Williams wasn't really a part of the Bulls' offensive game plan. He wasn't a big part of the role there. Defensively, yes, but as far as being a big part of the offensive game plan, getting reps, no, he wasn't. Coby was one of Kobe's worst scoring seasons. He wasn't a part of the offense. He just became basically a jump shooter, something we saw at the start of this season that we know he's not equipped to do to just become that, right? He needs to be more than that. It's going to be his first potential play-in and postseason as a number one option offensively, and you really get an opportunity to look at that. Matas, way bigger part of the overall game plan offensively and defensively than what even Patrick Williams was his first year in the playoffs, which was his second year in the league, and he was coming back from injury then. So you have all these different scenarios that are going on. Win or lose, if the Bulls make it into the playoffs, no, we don't expect them to make it far in the playoffs, but the experience that they're going to gain from that could be huge for this team. And even if they get eliminated in that first round, they have a pick right outside the lottery. And then at that point, there's still some really good talent there, right? If they don't make it out the play-in, I know people are going to use it for a whole storyline in the offseason of, well, the Bulls weren't as good as what we thought they were during that season. But even that, you get to build off what you saw from this team on the latter half of the season. You get to then add a lottery pick to this team, and you get to figure it the hell out, right? So I think, like I've said many times before, this season puts more onus on the front office to make sure that they are continuing to develop. If after the Zach LaVine trade and the Bulls just completely spiraled and finished the season with like 30 wins or something like that, if that's ended up what happened here, the ownership could have kicked around a little bit like, hey, we're going to have a draft pick. We got our own first-round pick future. It's going to take a while. But now, not to say that you still don't want to go through the process naturally, but now you have guys that are showing to be part of your core. You have to support that core, right? You have to support them now with the way that you build out this roster going forward in the future. So I do think this puts a little bit more pressure on AK and Eversley, the fact that, hey, that timeline may not be as far back as what you initially thought. So how aggressive are you going to go out there about going out and getting your guys in the draft if you see and identify a guy that can add to this young core and pair well with them, right? How are you going to continue to fill out veterans around this team that make it make sense, which is one thing that we've seen. People don't talk about it enough, but once like with the Detroit Pistons adding Tim Hardaway Jr. and Tobias Harris, two veterans that kind of just know what they need to do and how that's helped propel them for the remaining part of the season, or for this season as a whole. Bringing in Kevin Huerter, Zach Collins, Trey Jones when he was healthy, bringing in those veterans has really helped propel the Chicago Bulls in the system that they want to run, right? And help put the younger players in even better position, right? So you've seen that. So those are all things that you got to look at as well, and that's what we're hoping that this front office is really, viewing it as. And that Detroit Pistons team is an important team to look at, right? And I say this because they were a team that was terrible last season. A change of coach, which we brought in new members of the coaching staff. We didn't change the head coach, though. Sensible acquisitions, and then putting guys like Jaden Ivey ahead of Killian Haize, who Killian Haize no longer on that team, but he was starting over Jaden Ivey. Yeah, Jaden Ivey went down with injury, but Cade making the next step last year. And to put this in perspective, right, the Chicago Bulls technically have a better record against above 500 teams than the Detroit Pistons did this season. Yeah, they're a 44-win team, right? They have 6 more wins than the Chicago Bulls, if I did my math there correctly. But that's not a lot win difference, right, when it comes down to it. So, I mean, who's to say that the Bulls can't be the Pistons of next year, where you make the right draft choice, you make the right acquisitions if you do add, and having a full season of what you're looking at now with, knowing that this is what the roles that they're going to have. Who's to say that we can't be that team competing for a 6th seed and avoiding the play-in entirely next year? And we'll see what the future does hold for that. But overall, win-win scenario for the Bulls. We'll see what the future does hold, man. But I'm excited, and I think this season has been a fun one. But it is Saturday. That means it is Mailbag Day. Let's get into these voicemails. This one's from Big Drip.
What up, Haize? This Big Drip, I'm one of your biggest supporters of you and the Chicago Bulls. I love both y'all. I love your work. Great work. Keep it up. I want to start with that. And then I just wanted to say, like, we've been throwing bubble gum chewing Billy Donovan, whatever you call him, under the bus. But I got to say, since they made these coaching changes and the roster moves, we got to give it to the coaches. We got to say, like, Jackson wasn't playing the way they needed to play. DeMartin wasn't doing what they needed to do. Vooch was complaining about it. We thought Vooch probably was complaining and being funny because he didn't want to go with what they was doing. But he probably didn't mind going to this system because he actually flourished in his system as well. And DeMar's not in his spot. And Zach not chucking up bad shots. It makes people don't play hard. When a person do certain things, I play basketball. So no matter what's going on the court, if Carmelo take a badass shot and I'm the rebounder, the next time down, unless I'm just super focused, I don't feel like I want to rebound for his ass no more. I'm not rebounding as hard as I can for somebody I believe in. They believe in Coby White. They believe in the system. It's like they believe in Billy Donovan. Man, they're doing a great job. And I want to just give it to the coaches. The players believing in it, but the coaches giving them something to believe in. Say less. Chicago, we out.
Coaching improving this season, absolutely, bro. And that's why I talked about it a little bit in the opening. I think you do got to give credit. Wes Unseld, Dan Craig, Billy Donovan, right? Dan Craig, a guy who's been head of player development. Guys have already talked about how he's helped them. You got Wes Unseld, another guy who's been head of player development. He's basically our defensive coordinator for this team. And Billy Donovan. And, I know that, shout out to my boy Winton. Anytime somebody praises Billy Donovan, it sends him into a spiral. Not a spiral, ain't right. He just doesn't like Billy Donovan. I'm not the biggest Billy Donovan guy, but I am, like I said before, I am a realist. And the Bulls have been coached better. And so we got to see now what can he do against Eric Spoelstra, because this is a situation where the Bulls could be out coached, right? But other than that, like, not looking, trying to make an argument against him. But this is a season where Billy Donovan's coaching has been a highlight, especially on the second half of the season. And I think, you can't deny, like, having a coach that it's not easy to make 2 ball-dominant guards that have both been point guards for the majority of their career work together in a backcourt. And that's what Billy Donovan's found a balance, right? The balance between Josh Giddey and Coby has been so much better over, like, the last 30 games, right? Which is almost half a season, right? So that's why I still want them to show that they can build off of it going into next season, to start a season out this way. But it's really good to see the balance that he struck overall, the ball movement, right? We've seen to go to the zone defense, the fact that the ball moves around as much as it does in offense, getting everybody involved, keeping everybody engaged. Those are all things that have really helped this Bulls team. And we'll see what the future does hold there, man. But great voicemail, Drip. Thank you for your first voicemail. And first of all, don't steal my name, nonetheless. Love you. Thank you for leaving that voicemail. Let's get into the next one, man. This one's from Reggie.
Hey, this is Reginald, just calling in, a day after the Bulls win over Charlotte. And I want to talk to you about P. Will. As we all agree, it's not his athletic ability that's the problem. It's not his actual physique that's the problem. It's the fact that he's mentally checked out. He'll have stretches where he's looking like an actual NBA player, and then he'll have stretches where he struggles just to dribble the damn ball. And he had 15 points against Charlotte, but he only had 3 rebounds, and he, I guess, forgot to box out from time to time, which makes no sense to me. Him being a power forward, but you have to move off of him. The question is, like, what team will be the best fit for him and what situation? And surprisingly enough, I think it's Charlotte. I think Charlotte will be the best place for him because there's no expectation. They're not going to get any big free agent signings. The best they can do is get, disappointing players from other teams that they hope turn into something special. But for me, I think the best player or the best place to go is to send him to Charlotte. Maybe get someone of talented back. I know you don't want Mark Williams because of his injury history, but if it's a situation where you can get Mark Williams for Patrick Williams, you're probably gonna have to give up a couple of second round picks. I'd probably do it because if Mark Williams is an injury risk, you can let him walk after his rookie contract. It won't cost you nothing. And Charlotte has the money to absorb P-Will contract, and they are literally the definition of a franchise that has to build through a draft. So they'll probably take those second round picks. But what's your opinion? Thanks.
Sending Patrick Williams to Charlotte for Mark Williams. Here's the thing, right? I know that you said that they may not take a lot to get Mark Williams, but let's look at the package that they were getting back. They were getting Dalton Connect, a lottery pick from this past year. They were getting Cam Reddish, a salary cap filler. They were getting a 2031 first-round pick, unprotected, and a pick swap in 2030. First-round pick swap in 2030. That's not – Patrick Williams and a couple of seconds doesn't equate to that. Even if they come down off that a little bit, them getting Dalton Connect back in that trade kind of shows you the value that they want back from Mark Williams. I know a lot of people think, well, the trade fell through. They're just going to try to, and people think that a lot, like when it comes to things not happening, oh, that means they're just going to sell him off for cheap. I don't think that, right? I don't think that they are looking at, a player that's been injured. He's still 23 years old, right? And he was a former 15th overall pick. I don't think they're looking at it as just, oh, Patrick Williams in a couple of seconds gets you there. Now, I will say this, if that is what they're willing to take, if they're willing to take Patrick Williams in a couple of seconds, I'm not mad at that deal. I have my trepidation about taking another player with lower leg injuries, right? A history of that already, just because that has never really worked out for the Chicago Bulls, right? Admittedly so. But like you said, he's still on his rookie scale deal, and Dalton Connect wasn't a lottery pick. He was number 17th. I don't know why I thought he was a lottery pick. But they would have to believe in what Patrick Williams can turn into, right? And then they would have to really highly believe in that. And then if we get Mark Williams back, the fact that he is he's up for restricted free agency at the end of next year, but then that could also play into a negative for you, right? Because if he does stay healthy and does look good a season for you, he's going to be looking to get relatively paid, not like Josh Giddey paid, but relatively paid. And then you're jump starting your process again that way, right? I don't think that if the Bulls are going to take a calculated risk on money, I don't think it's going to be right now. But I'm not, and this isn't to say don't trade Patrick Williams. Like, I'm at the point now where if they do trade P. Will, they trade P. Will, right? But I don't think you're going to get a player of the caliber of Mark Williams back with the potential that he still has, even with how disappointing or how injured he's been over the course of his career. Just looking at what the Lakers would have had to give up to get Mark Williams in the door. So that's just my thought process, Reggie. We'll see what happens in the offseason, though, brother. Let's get into this next one, man. This one's from Corn.
What's the word, King Drip? It's your brother, Corn, man. Let's get straight into it right the fuck now, man. This one, man, I'm just going to get straight into it, man. This one is about you. Hey, man, 2 games left. It's Friday. It's 5 a.m. on my side. We play, I believe, who the fuck we play today? I believe we play somebody today, but regardless of that shit, right? Regardless of that, right, brother? I just want to say I appreciate you, the Wizards. We play the Wizards today, okay? Yes, we play the Wizards today. Cool. Cool in the game. Got that out the way, right? So, I expect to win, so that's nothing. I just say, man, let me go ahead and give you a standing ovation, man. Real talk. For the fucking hell of a season that you did, bro. You are my go-to. You are my guy, when it comes to Chicago Bulls sports, man. You, Cognac Kings, man. Y'all my brothers, man. I love y'all, man. Man, I just this season alone, man. The ups and downs, and now we back up again. Dealing with the bipolarness of the team, dealing with the bipolarness of the fans, like me, of course. Like, look at me, I switched sides, I came on the side of I am on board, I am ready to see this team thrive instead of watching the party die. That's due to you. That's due to you, man. Lost a bet. It is what it is. That's coming soon. Oh, man, I just appreciate everything you do, man, when it comes to Chicago Bulls, man. You are my brother, man. Like I said, I'm always going to say this, man, and I mean this shit. I've been saying this now for like going on 2 years now. Been saying this shit. You are the hardest working man on YouTube. You are the James Brown of this shit, man. I look forward to watch your shit every day. From Chicago Bulls, NBA Central, Locked On Bulls. You brought Pat back out, bro. You made Pat pop out and show niggas, bro. Like, come on, bro. You are that nigga, bro. You are that king. That's why I call you King motherfucking Drift. I appreciate everything you do, bro. Always, bro. Love you, King. This one for you. Everybody, shout out to this King. Blessings.
First of all, Corn, thank you, brother. This is why I do call you my brother, Corn, because we do have, it's funny that like we've never met in person, but we do have that relationship where we talk, we had the bet, things like that. Listen, the thing that I do here with Chicago Bulls Central is out of love for the team. That was the first and foremost thing. I wanted to build Chicago Bulls Central strictly off the love that I genuinely have for the Chicago Bulls. Now, it's evolved from that. I think I give a lot better analysis, and I do a really good job of bringing advanced analytics and stuff on top of talking storylines and other things like that. And that's just part of the evolution. But you gotta evolve to grow, right? And you guys have evolved with me, and I appreciate you. I appreciate everybody who supports this channel, and that spends their time and energy giving into this channel. That's something that does not go unnoticed, and it doesn't go unappreciated, right? And so when I do things like stepping out of my comfort zone and doing a live call, even though with the calamity we had yesterday on the live call, that is because of, I want to make sure that I'm giving you guys and making that subscription valuable to you. I said it when I started this off. The thing that I set out to do is that I wanted anybody who subscribed to Chicago Bulls Central to feel like they get everything between news, analyzing the team, right? Advanced numbers if you want it, right? All those type of things. I want you to feel like it's a one-stop shop where you get everything you need all in one place. And I feel like we're really getting to that realized version of that slowly but surely as we keep adding something to the team. Keep in mind, people may forget when I first started this channel, there were no live post-game shows. There was one video probably 3 days a week. We moved to daily, right? And then we added the post-game shows. We added the halftime hangouts. We've been doing live calls. We do one. I don't know if we'll do one for the season finale. We'll see. But we've been adding that, right? And it's really feeling like a community, and that's the thing that I appreciate the most is the community aspect of what we're building here. And don't trip though, people. You still will get cooked if you come in here disrespectfully. But nah, appreciate you, brother, man. Let's keep it moving. Let's get to this one from the 954.
Hey, what's going on, brother? Hey, man, that's something that crossed my mind the other day. I've been pondering. So I was thinking, man, I don't see how we would get somebody decent in the draft in terms of like a big man. I was just, thinking about the big man position. No, Vooch is getting older. And but I was thinking, man, what do you think about a trade for Deandre Ayton? And I know Deandre Ayton, the name ain't really, it's underwhelming, and I get it. But I mean, shit, if he's young, he can run with the young Bulls. I mean, worst case scenario, 15 and 10 ain't that bad. You know what I mean? A little better defense than Vooch. I mean, I know we'll be probably losing the shooting that Vooch can give us, even though it's inconsistent. But I mean, something that I was thinking about, man. But I don't even know what a trade would even look like for Deandre Ayton. But I mean, he's been underwhelming, so I don't think they'll want too much in return. So just something I was thinking about, man. Just shit. Let me know what you think about it.
I think the big man depth is better in this draft than you give it credit for, right? So I don't think taking a shot at Ayton and kind of jump starting, skipping the process. That's what this team has done before, right? And I don't think it's time to do that right now. And we got a voicemail after this where I'll say kind of where the time is to get in this. But when you look at it, right, let's keep in mind, you got guys like Asa Newell, who could go, like in some mocks, he's dropping between 17 and 20. A guy that I really love. He has that huge defensive upside that I really like personally. So you have that. I like Asa Newell. You got Danny Wolf, who also could be there as a legit 7-footer who can ball handle, can play multiple positions. He's really good as far as back to the basket moves, stuff like that. He has the face-up game, and he can stretch the floor a little bit, right? So you still got guys in this draft that still make sense at the center position for the Chicago Bulls. So I would rather do that right now than make a trade where you have to give up future assets and keep building this thing out. There's a time where it gets to making a move for upside, right? This ain't the time. This is not where we are right now, not yet, right? And keep in mind, it doesn't necessarily have to be a big man yet either, because I think even if you draft a power forward or whatever, or a small forward to pair with Matas on the forward rotation, you still got Zach Collins, Jalen Smith, and Nikola Vucevic technically under contract, and you can wait till the centers next year, which still some really good centers in next year's draft as well. So I think that's something you got to look at for. But great voicemail. See what the Bulls do. Now let's get into the last one today, man. This one's from Shay.
Hey, what's up, Haize? It's Shay. Look, I want to talk to some of these fans that keep yelling, not necessarily Tank, but the ones that are yelling, oh, we need to trade for Matas Buzelis, or let's trade for Jokic. Look, let me tell y'all something. Are y'all aware that we're currently in this situation right now because we rushed the process? Are y'all also aware that a team like the Phoenix Suns are not even in the play-in, and they got stars on top of stars? Are you also aware that a team like the Philadelphia 76ers are in the bad spot right now? Although, yeah, the injuries having Joel Embiid, whatever, but they are currently in a bad spot right now. Look, I understand that the star player, it does make for entertaining basketball, and I mean, Joker is good, and he hates drafting him, but Jesus Christ. Right now, where we are right now, the team is going good, and we can keep on building and building and building. Look, I know that this season, the back half of the second half of the season, has made y'all get more confidence, but let's just continue to build through the draft, man. Ain't no need to get nobody like Giannis, nobody like Joker, or nobody like Sabonis, because you don't even know if they fit with your team, for one. And then two, they are the same age. A lot of these people are the same age as Zach LaVine. And we moved him around and we said that his age doesn't even fit the timeline of the team. So let's just build to the draft, re-sign Giddey, re-sign Coby, and just start from there. Ain't no need to go get no stars right now unless a good player fits our timeline. Not necessarily a star player, but a good player and fits what we need. Anyway, hey, tell me what you think. Peace.
Shay, I should be applauding you right now. Not rushing this is the thing, right? The Bulls do have cap flexibility coming in. The summer of 2026, right, when you get a full year, after you get a full season next year of the 2025-26 season of looking at what this team is, right? That's where you can make your move to bring in a money deal, whether it is trading for a Sabonis or a player like that, whether it's signing a free agent or putting in a big offer sheet for a restricted free agent, right? I think Jaren Jackson Jr. is a free agent that year. Wherever you're doing, that's the time to make your move. You'll get a whole year of data to make sure that this thing is working out. You'll get your contract extension with Coby done that same offseason, and then you can kind of know. Then you have a core, and now you're saying, bet, playoffs every single year. Let's get off to the races, right? That's where I think the time to move is. Great point there. I get it. I understand why people have the thought process that they do, but I think you got to practice a little patience, right? You still got things to develop. Matas can take off, right? To see what Matas does in year 2, right? Things like that before you have to make that decision. The summer of 2026, if the way that this season ends is the way that we play for the entirety of next year, and we're a playoff team, that's where you're going to have players wanting and being enticed by the young core that you have here, and then you can maybe get somebody in at that point in time, and then you're kind of sure of what you have. To me, this is not the summer. This is not the offseason to rush and jumpstart the process. We skipped steps last time and it ended up biting us in our ass. Let's make sure that we have that firm base first, and then that's when you make your move to get somebody to put you over the top, right? That's what I want to see the Bulls do. So great voicemail there from Shay. Let me know what you guys think on it down below. Make sure you guys are following us at Bulls Central Pod. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullscentralpod@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like we like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.